Hi, everybody. It's February 7th, 2026. Um, Looking at things as how they are is a trait that we praise in our society. Looking at things truthfully, bluntly, in an openly analytical fashion. But in terms of the internal reality that we carry, looking at things at face value is not exactly always the prerequisite uh, because we are looking internally. The influences that come in from the outside kind of obscure what we are looking at internally. So switching viewpoints when looking internally is not necessarily a debilitating thing. It's actually required because um, in terms of subjectivity, it is highly subjective looking inside us, as compared to looking at relationships on the outside and realities on the outside. Being objective is a key attribute, but looking inside is subjective. And to get to a level of objectivity inside, you have to come at things and analyze things in the right perspective. And that's just the nature of being a living person on earth. You just have to try your best to understand. And it's almost like in the Matrix when Neo was taught how to bend the spoon. It's not necessarily making the spoon bend, but bending yourself. So when you're looking inside at yourself, you have to articulate your viewpoint in a certain manner in order to see the truth of what is going on inside of you. So this gets me to thinking of guilt as a thermostat. A lot of us, when presented with our personal guilt in certain situations, we take that as an attack against us, as a judgment against us. But that's not necessarily the case. For example, the first thing I could say is using guilt as a thermostat is the way you will work is if you feel like you are doing wrong, but there is also a side of you saying no, you are not doing wrong, but that there's like a tinge of guilt. And in the situation, maybe you are feeling guilt because you have realized that you have a certain level of responsibility in the situation. So that guilt isn't necessarily to tell you that you are doing wrong and that you are creating an injustice for this people, this persons, or this situation. Is that it's just footnoting that you have responsibility in this situation, and if it is going south for any reason, you may have the capacity to help the situation from devolving into something that is unbeneficial for those who are involved. And another way to look at guilt as a thermostat is usually when we look back on our lives and when we were younger and less developed, we could see where we have perpetuated wrongdoing. And so that guilt that you feel about looking back is not completely useless. It's useless to feel too bad about yourself about it, but it's also that guilt is there to be like, now you're here in the present and you have a chance to forego repeating those actions. So that guilt is like a marker in your current life to be aware and to be able to guide your actions so you don't necessarily create that same guilt for yourself in the future when looking back at the present. And another way to use guilt as a thermostat, it comes in health. A lot of us are familiar with eating disorders, and so when you're guilty about eating certain foods, you may have not done anything detrimental to your health yet, but you know that when you eat that first bag of chips, you start to feel significantly more guilty. And so it's not saying that you shouldn't eat those chips, but that's just like that guilt is just like a warning that you're starting to toe closer to the line of being unhealthy for your general physical makeup. So every time you eat another bag of chips or have another pop with lots of sugar or whatever, you feel guilty. It's not necessarily saying you're a bad or incapable person. It's just a warning to slow down and to be aware of how you are, or what you are putting into your body. So I hope this helps. Thanks.